Hi everyone, this is Jamie Frost, and this is a case study of a culturally and linguistically diverse student named Mohammed. Before I begin to talk about Mohammed, I'd like to give you the rationale for why I chose this student. This year, as the principal, I worked very closely with one particular classroom teacher, a special educator, and an ESL teacher to think deeply about a student named Mohammed. Our team met frequently to discuss his needs as a culturally and linguistically diverse student. And through the course of the year, he made a lot of growth. Recently, I began reflecting on my meeting notes, my teacher evaluation records, and assessment data of this student. And I think combined with the knowledge I've gained in this course, I chose to study Mohammed so that I can make instructional recommendations to his new teacher. Mohammed is a 5-year-old boy. He was born in the United States, but both of his parents were born in Somalia. His mom came to the U.S. when she was 15 years old to be with her future husband. When she arrived in the U.S., she was not able to speak English. Her husband, who moved from Somalia years earlier, helped her learn to speak, read, and write some English. From the time Mohammed was brought home from the hospital until the age of 3, Somali was the only language spoken to him. Early on, his parents were concerned about language delays. Mohammed began babbling at about 9 months and said 5 words at 18 months. At 19 months, he began putting words together, but by 2.5 years old, he was only able to put together 2 or 3 words. So Mohammed received early intervention and received speech and language from Cambridge Public Schools beginning at the age of 3 until the present date. As the intervention got underway, Mohammed's parents spoke English to him. They understood the importance of consistency, and they began to work with him on learning English words. Although they wanted him to learn how to speak English, they didn't want him to lose his ability to understand Somali. Mohammed's mom explained that this was very important to her because many family members and friends speak only Somali. Currently, at the age of 5, Mohammed still does not speak Somali, but he understands it very well. His parents continue to speak to him primarily in English at home, and he continues to be surrounded by family and friends who speak Somali. When I asked Mohammed about speaking Somali at home, he was able to say a few words that he knew, and he seemed to go into some baby talk. I began to wonder what it must be like to listen to your family speak in one language and respond in another. Mohammed is a very sweet, happy little boy. He's extremely outgoing, and he's always ready to share. One thing that we made sure to do this year was to meet with his family and really get to know his family this year. And what we found is that although he doesn't engage in the typical home literacy experiences, reading lots of English books and things of that nature, there is literacy going on. Mohammed's father drives a taxi, and he often spends time with him talking about all the sights he sees. So Mohammed is constantly talking about all of the various train stations he sees. He even brought a booklet to school this year that showed all of the various train stops. He was able to point and read the names of many of the stations, and it was clear that his dad had spent time looking at this document with him. So what we really worked on as a team this year was to think about how we could build on that knowledge. One thing that was clear is that education is definitely valued in the home, and that also his religion is very important and actually practiced daily. His parents are very proud of him, and each time he would bring books home from school and read them, his mother would just beam, talking about how happy she was that he could read now. Last year, Mohammed entered the Tobin School at 4 years old as a junior kindergartner. He had an IEP that included 3 days a week with a speech therapist. Mohammed's English was limited, but his motivation to learn and speak was great. He was assessed at the end of last year using the WIDA Access Placement Test. This assessment indicated that he required additional services with our ESL teacher. And at this age, the placement test doesn't give student scores utilizing the WIDA rubric. Rather, it reveals a general level with some skill descriptors. So he was able to recognize letters on the reading test. He was able to copy letters on the writing test. And he scored low on the oral proficiency test. As the former literacy coach, I was able to work really closely and understand a lot of Mohammed's literacy development as I worked with the team. In April, the classroom teacher conducted an assessment that we use called Mary Clay's Observation Survey with Mohammed. And what this survey revealed was that he currently knows 50 out of the 54 letters. His errors were with the lowercase letters, and he confused commonly letters that are confused, B and D, Q and G, etc. But what this assessment showed us that his progress is really due to the hands-on tools that the classroom teacher was using with him. We use tools such as a movable alphabet, sandpaper letters, and I think one thing that helped him learn his letters was that the ESL teacher was using the same materials as the classroom teacher. The next part of the assessment was writing vocabulary, and in this section, the children are just asked to write any words they know, and they only get points if they write them accurately. So at this point in April, Mohammed was able to write 5 words accurately. That doesn't seem like a lot, but the great fact was that he attempted many words and missed the words primarily because of the vowels in the middle. So we were just really happy that he was attempting the final and ending sounds. And his sight words had greatly increased. And I think that we all would agree that the word wall that the teacher uses in the classroom and the thematic charts that have words listed under different themes, all of those resources around the classroom Mohammed uses frequently, and he loves to find the words on those charts, and he uses highlighter tape to mark them. So that print-rich environment just really supported his oral language development as much as his written development as well. The next section of the test is called Hearing and Recording Sounds and Words, and basically the teacher reads a sentence outside and Mohammed tries to copy down all of the sounds that he hears. This was the lowest section of the assessment. He was able to record 15 sounds out of 37, definitely an improvement from last year, but still low. His teacher has really helped him by giving him books to take home that he can sound out, and really working during Writer's Workshop to help him stretch words like bubblegum so that he can hear those individual sounds. And he also, the teacher and ESL teacher, worked to have an alphabetized class name chart, and that he can constantly say, oh, A, just like Abigail in our class. I know how to go to that chart and find that. And the final part of the assessment, he was able to read 10 out of the 15 words that were put in front of them. And although they're simple sight words, Mohammed can also read all the names on his class chart. And I think the one section that the teacher wanted to work on with him was one-to-one correspondence. So using his finger or using a pointer to kind of match what he's saying to the print. And I think that the shared reading lessons that the teacher planned with the ESL teacher really helped him with this. So just to reiterate, it was reflecting on those assessments, the meeting notes, my teacher evaluation records, some observational data that I had, and kind of combining it with the knowledge that I acquired from this course that led me to really think that I could make some great recommendations for Mohammed's next teacher and actually the grade level team that he'll be working with next year so that he'll be just as successful. The first recommendation is based on what Field and Heinemann refer to as affirming identities, or gaining a deeper understanding of the inner workings of Mohammed's family and culture, because I think it gave us insight on how to motivate Mohammed by building upon his background knowledge and interests. So with this information, it's my recommendation that Mohammed's family continue to play an integral role in his education. Communication through home or school logs or biweekly telephone conferences will really just allow his family to be kept up to date with his progress. And I also recommend that books on his reading level be sent home every day to ensure that rich literature is available to him. And although we don't bring religion into the classroom, I feel it's important to give Mohammed some opportunities to talk and write about the traditions associated with his culture, because creating a class in which student diversity is celebrated, it will help motivate Mohammed, and it will also build his confidence as a student. The second recommendation is within the area of phonics. If you remember, Mohammed scored low on the hearing and recording sounds and words assessment that was given in April. And although he made some progress using hands-on tools such as the phonetic object box and the movable alphabet, I believe that the best approach for him is to embed the phonics in literature. He's a kid that's excited when it's read aloud time. He loves to hear stories. So really connecting the phonics and the decoding piece to the literature will help him be more motivated and more engaged. And also, it will be the job of the teacher next year to utilize think alouds to really model for him the type of thinking that a reader goes through when they're decoding words. And also maintaining the lines of open communication in regards to phonics, letting the parents know what he's working on for particular sounds so that they can support that at home. Mohammed's vocabulary grew tremendously this year, and his teacher did a wonderful job of having the word wall, seasonal word charts, etc. And although he progressed, it's my recommendation that Mohammed receive vocabulary instruction as part of a larger unit of study or a thematic unit of study, rather than having many unrelated word charts around the room. My recommendation is that there will be a theme studied for an extended period of time, and this will ensure that Mohammed has reasons to use language for real purposes. It will also give him an opportunity to gain exposure to content words and tier 2 academic words that are linked around a common theme. For example, a unit of study based on bears would allow him to be exposed to words from the fictional text, such as Goldilocks, while simultaneously learning tier 3 words such as hibernation during content reading. The next recommendation has to do with Mohammed's reading fluency. So Mohammed still struggles with one-to-one correspondence, but he loves to read. And so my recommendation is that he participate frequently in shared reading lessons where they read charts and songs and chants together as a group, making sure that he has the opportunity to use the pointer and that he has the opportunity to be exposed to these texts over and over and over so that he begins to automatically recognize words. He should also have access to any charts and poems and songs during independent or partner work time, because this is going to help him with his expression and eventually deepen his comprehension. He should also be taking home poems and chants and songs to practice at home. The last recommendation is within the area of writing. Mohammed has made progress with writing, adding more details to his pictures, starting to label the pictures. So next year, he should continue to be in the whole group Writers Workshop lessons, but he should receive, in addition, small group lessons using the interactive writing approach, which will allow the teacher and Mohammed to create text together. And the teacher will have the opportunity to really model the thought process that a writer goes through. So using those think alouds to say, I want to write the word tree. Tree. Oh, that sounds the same as truck. That's a T. And really getting to that level with him so that he has that model for when he's working independently. Just some final thoughts on what I've learned by going through this process. First, I realized that in order for culturally, linguistically diverse students to be successful, it takes a team. There must be constant collaboration between the ESL teacher, if the child has an IEP, the special educator, and the mainstream classroom teacher. There also must be a ton of formative assessments embedded so that we're constantly updating and making changes to meet the needs of those students. I also believe that in order to instruct culturally and linguistically diverse students, it is essential that the school get to know the family. We must strive to understand the background that the student is coming with, because they're coming with a lot of background knowledge. And if we want to efficiently educate these students, the best way is to tap into what they already know and connect the learning to what they already know. Thank you.